Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel here at ShowtimeCarAudio.net. Now I have something kind of exciting. I want to show you the Incriminator Audio Flatline subwoofers, which is a sound quality woofer brought to you by Incriminator Audio, which is known as an SPL woofer company. Now they have many world records and championships for SPL, but now they take their design expertise and make a sound quality woofer. Now you might be thinking that sound quality is kind of a subjective term, but really when we talk about products like woofers, it really does matter the quality of the reproduction of sound, how closely it matches the original source material. Now let's go over to the shop and I want to show you a couple key design aspects of the woofer and what makes it geared towards sound quality. Okay, here I have a 15-inch Flatline woofer, and I just made up a quick little test bench with the Incriminator Audio 5.1, which is a 450 or 500 watt amplifier, mono amplifier. And so at the end of this, I'm going to show you a little movement of the woofer in super slow motion. So check that out. But a little bit about the name Flatline. It does not mean that the woofer's dead. What it means is it's referring to more of the frequency response curve of the woofer. To you guys that are used to SPL woofers or ground pounding woofers, those woofers might be more specialized to have a slim frequency response and be very peaky. So the curve of response would have a mountain, would have a peak, and then drop off. So it's a bump. Now, sound quality woofer like the Flatline, the way it's designed is to give it the best reproduction, the best frequency response, and have an even response over a wide frequency range. So whether it's playing 20 hertz or 40 hertz, it should have a very similar output. So that frequency curve, that line, is going to look very flat. It's going to be a flat line. Now, one of the biggest differences you're going to see in the woofer versus a SPL or ground pounding woofer is the coil. Now, if you look at in the venting at the gap, you don't see the coil. Or if you look at your Incriminator Audio death penalties or wardens, you're going to see the coil. It's a very tall coil that you're going to see sticking up through the gap. And the reason for that in the ground pounding and SPL woofers is it has a tall coil that it can be referred to as even hung. There's heat dissipation and it acts like a heat sink and you want it close to air, but also the way the windings are in the gap, it does give you a lot of motor force right away, kind of like a muscle car would be. It has great acceleration right away. Now a sound quality woofer like this has an underhung coil. What that is, if you look in there, the coil is actually hung low in the gap so you don't see it. Even when moving, you're not going to see it popping out of the gap. And it's a shorter coil. And when coupled with the design of the suspension, the spiders are what's known as progressive spiders, meaning the rolls, the peaks and valleys of the roll of the spider are much larger on the outside than the inside towards the coil. And what this does is gives it even tension, and mixed with the coil being always in that sweet spot in the gap during excursion, it's going to have the same or very close to the same amount of force, BL, which is the motor force. It's going to have a very smooth response and a very even amount of force through the whole range of motion when the cone and coil are moving. And a SPL or ground pounding type woofer will have a lot of force right away and then might die off towards the limits of its excursion. This woofer does not. So what that really means is that it can be able to play a lot of low frequencies, but play any frequency at the same level, but it's also going to be very accurate. So for you guys looking for that nice tight bass and a woofer that can play low and play pretty much any type of music you want, this woofer is really meant for that. Or for the SPL and ground pounding guys that have a daily car that just want a great sounding bass setup in that car, this woofer is going to do that too. Now, there's also the cone that you might see on some of your woofers, where it's a very stiff and strong, rigid cone. And you want the cone as rigid as possible so during excursion it doesn't warp or bend, because that can create a little bit of distortion and take away from the sound. So this has a nice strong cone as well. and mixed with the sewn-in tinsel leads and the nickel-plated push terminals, it's a really strong built woofer, and it's going to be durable. 750 watts RMS they're rated. For sound quality, that's actually quite a bit. And the 5.1 from Incriminator is a great amplifier for a single one, or you can even go up a little bit more. And if you have a pair of these woofers, you can power them off an Incriminator 20.1. You always want a little bit of overhead so you can tune it properly, take it down a little bit, and you won't have a problem with distortion, and you have a little bit more efficiency that way. So they're available in 12, 15, and 18 inch, obviously on our website, so you go there. And I want to show you a little bit about the movement of this woofer right now, so check that out. So there you have that, and you might also notice that the woofer still has a pole vent and the air-driven cooling system that Incriminator audio uses. You want to keep any woofer as cool as possible if you're going to play it for long periods of time. And obviously with a woofer that can sound as great as this, you're going to want to play it all the time, I guarantee you.